Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lisa Talev channel. Today I wanted to just give you a brief follow-up to my little video about water enemas. I mentioned a few different ways of doing enemas, but I wasn't very specific in terms of actual recipes, so I wanted to give you a little more insight into different variations you can do on your enemas depending on what exact effects you're looking for. So if you're wanting to do a water enema to just flush everything out before doing a coffee enema, I really recommend using lemon water. Now I have found it's really hard to retain lemon water for long. It can feel maybe a little irritating to the guts, but that can be great if you're really constipated or if you ate something that's making you feel bad and you want to kick it out of your system faster so you can return to feeling good again. So what I do is I take 16 ounces of distilled water. Gotta be distilled. Do not use tap water, please. It's not pure enough. Distilled water has no impurities in it whatsoever, so pretty guaranteed to be safe that you're not mainlining pesticides and other people's medications and things that you would get in tap water. So anyway, you would go ahead and heat up a quarter to a third of the volume of water you want. So let's say you'd heat up maybe 6 ounces of water in a little kettle and then have about 10 ounces of room temperature water. When you mix them together, it's this kind of perfect warm water. You don't want to go any hotter than bath water, but bath water temperature to me feels the best. It's very soothing, and it's also, if you think about washing dishes and kind of trying to get the crud to come up off the dishes, it's much more effective to soak them usually in hot water or warm water versus cold or lukewarm water. So it's the logic behind that. You want to do around body temperature or slightly higher, but not so hot that you would withdraw your hand if you put it inside. So that's just the water basics. So I would do the juice of a half a lemon in that 16 to maybe 21 ounces of water. Put it in your enema bucket with the tubing attached. Make sure the clamp is closed before you fill it or you're gonna have a mess. And then you just stir it up real well and proceed following the rest of the directions from the water enema. Now, if you've been sick or have a migraine or a lot of muscle tension and you wanna really infuse magnesium back into the body, relax your muscles that way, I highly recommend using liquid magnesium. This isn't the only brand. You can probably find other brands. This is probably the most affordable brand. So with this one, a quarter teaspoon gives you 133 milligrams of magnesium. Typically, I like to use between 1 teaspoon and 3 teaspoons, or a tablespoon. And you can watch my little video on how to muscle test, because that's what I do. You know, I say, should I use 1 teaspoon? My body moves forward as yes. Should I do 2 teaspoons? Now I'm getting a no. Some days I say, should I do 3 teaspoons? And I get a really strong yes, usually if I'm having a migraine. And that's like, yeah, you need like 1,000 milligrams of magnesium, bring it on. So that's when I would go high dose, but always ask your body. Every day is different than the last day. So this is going to be great if you want to kind of hold it for a while and really absorb the magnesium. When I'm doing it, I really feel all my muscles relaxing as I'm lying there, and I tend to feel really calm and peaceful and happy too. If you have anxiety or any sort of mood disorder, magnesium can be very calming, also can help with insomnia. So this is the one type of enema you can do right before bed and not worry that it's gonna wake you up too much and disrupt your sleep the way a coffee enema would. You don't wanna do coffee enemas after 5 p.m. or they're pretty notorious for giving insomnia. But magnesium enema, totally do it before bed and it should help you drift asleep. I've actually fallen asleep holding these. I typically hold this magnesium flush for about 20-30 minutes. You could do it for 15, but again, your body will tell you when it's had enough. But yeah, my body loves to hold on to the magnesium, so I find I can even doze off while receiving it and kind of wake up 30 minutes later and go, oh, now I need to pee. So it's a great one. And if you are dealing with something like diarrhea or just a feeling of irritation inside and you want something really soothing, you can use chamomile flowers. You can either buy bagged chamomile tea and just brew 16 to 32 ounces of it. Of course, you'd want to get it to that kind of tepid to bath temperature. Again, you do not want to be pouring something very hot inside of you. Just get it comfortably warm, and of course strain out any little debris from the chamomile flowers. There can be this kind of powdery stuff. You don't want that getting in there. So strain it real well before using it. But again, this one's gonna be very soothing and mild. Potentially you could even mix the chamomile and the magnesium water. That could be good. But going back to the lemon water idea, remember the lemon water is more of a quick purge, get everything out. You're probably not gonna be able to hold it very long. So I don't recommend mixing the lemon and chamomile or the lemon and magnesium because they're kind of at cross purposes. So you wanna be really synergistic. You would wanna hold magnesium longer, you could hold chamomile longer, therefore those two are okay together. But lemon water, not so much. Lemon water is a quick flush it all out, and then that gets you ready to do whatever comes next. So I hope that helps give you some clarity. Another thing you may want to think about if you're doing a lot of enemas are the Beam Minerals products. These give you trace minerals. This one has more humic acid, which is kind of a binder for toxins. And if you suffer from chronic viruses, this can help kind of clean up the debris from dealing with viruses. This is more of a standard electrolyte formula with fulvic acid. This one is brown liquid. This one is kind of a yellowish clear liquid. And the cheapest way to get it is through their website. They do a subscription where you're saving considerably more money than you would if you bought it on Amazon. So try to check that out. If you're doing a lot of enemas, of course you can lose electrolytes, sort of like with having diarrhea. If you're flushing a lot of stuff out your gut, you are also flushing out some minerals, so just make sure that you replenish if you're doing it quite a bit. And actually, finally, I will also touch upon the idea of putting salt in there, because I have had some questions. Can I use pink salt? How much should I use? So my caution to you on using salt in your enema is that salt encourages the gut, or really anything, the body, to retain water. So if you're wanting to do a little flush at the beginning of your day and then be running around doing errands, I don't recommend adding salt, because the salt is gonna make it so it's harder to excrete the liquid afterwards. You might be walking around with 10, 12 ounces of water stuck in your gut, and then you have no idea when, and you have no control over when your body is suddenly gonna be like, I'm ready to get rid of this. You don't wanna be at the mall or the grocery store and suddenly have like watery diarrhea. Just trust me, it's not worth it. Also, a lot of us are already getting plenty of sodium in our diets. The standard American diet is very high in salt, and we're usually not getting near enough potassium. So you can go on Amazon under the Pure Life Enema store and look for compounded potassium salts. I highly recommend those if you're doing a coffee enema. You'd want to add the potassium because coffee enemas can make you lose a lot of potassium. But you could also try a potassium water enema, and that'll help you get more of that nutrient. Typically we get potassium from eating produce like fruits and vegetables, but the RDA for potassium is very high. It might be up to like 4,700 for a taller man. That's in milligrams per day that you need it. A lot of Americans are getting way less than that because we just don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. So I would say if you're choosing between pink salt, which has, a tiny bit of a lot of different trace minerals, or potassium salts, which are more concentrated in potassium. Personally, I would go with the potassium salts because chances are you're already getting enough of the salt minerals and not enough of the potassium minerals. But if you are very dehydrated and you actually are gonna be home all day, easy access to a toilet, you might wanna add just a little pinch of salt, especially if you're doing keto or a very low carb diet where your body actually increases its need for sodium. Then it would be okay to do maybe a pinch to a quarter teaspoon of salt, of a good quality mineral salt, in 16 to 32 ounces of water. So I used to always do about 32 ounces, but being a very small person, that's kind of a bit much for me, and it's easier for me to hold 16 ounces at a time. So there is such a thing as a retention enema, where you take the enema in and then you just hold it as long as you possibly can. So if you were gonna do that, you might wanna do like 12 ounces of water, so you're not walking around with a liter of water in your guts. That could potentially lead to an unpleasant little accident. So retention enemas, you can mix in, like open up some probiotic capsules, whisk them around with a good whisk to make sure they're really in there. take it in and then see how long can I hold this and kind of implant the good probiotics into my gut. Or sometimes I'll do a retention enema with magnesium because I tend to be a little needy of extra magnesium. And again, with the muscle tensions and chronic migraines, I have found magnesium to be extraordinarily helpful. So I hope that helps you out. Enjoy, and let me know if you have a favorite enema or if learning these techniques helps you get to a new place in your health. I would love to hear about it. Have a good one.